I'm Jack. This better be the last time that I record this video, because I swear to God. I made this video because very recently, about a month-ish ago, I started playing Toontown again. Just in time for Cartoonival, which is really fun. I used to play Toontown a lot when I was a kid. It's really nostalgic for me, and it really is a niche enjoyment of mine. And I consider it comfort gaming, and I figured, what a great idea. Since I've been doing like a little bit of casual comfort gaming videos, I might as well add Toontown into the mix because I feel like that's a bit of a unique gaming experience. Not everybody played Toontown. And if you're wondering what Toontown is exactly, it was a game created by Disney in the early 2000s, and it was an MMORPG, but also, because it was Disney, obviously, like, most of the game was not fun unless you had the subscription for it. So basically, the premise of the game is that you're a toon, hence the ears. This isn't like a furry situation. I'm kind of dressing as my character. You create your toon avatar, and then with other toons, you go out into the streets and you defend Toontown from the cogs that are these robots that are gentrifying all of Toontown. That's the actual premise of the game. Cogs are buying up small businesses and turning them into factories or whatever, and you're supposed to go out there, fight the cogs, and seize the means of production once again for the toons. And the way that you battle these robots is by using humor, specifically using gags. Gags meaning slapstick cartoon humor, so throwing a pie in the face, squirting with a seltzer bottle, dropping anvils on them once you get high enough in the drop track. This video isn't about all that, but just to give you a little bit of context, because in order to get the gags, you need a way to buy the gags, which... Don't think too deeply about the lore. Just don't. It was a Disney property. Don't think too deeply about the lore. But in order to get the gags, you need the in-game toon currency, which is jelly beans. And the main way that you get the jelly beans, the first way that you're told to get jelly beans in the game, is by riding the trolley and playing mini-games. Like, just think of the mini-games in Mario Party. You're randomly assigned a mini-game based on the 1 to 4 toons that can ride the trolley, and you earn a bean payout for each of those minigames. So this is not gonna be the most, like, criteria-filled tier list of all time. Some of these games, I'm not really paying all that much attention to the bean payout of these games. I'm just paying attention to the fun factor of it and how much I'm, like, willing to either play the game or spend all of my voting points during trolley tracks to not play that game at all costs. So that's all you need to know for the trolley games, but a thing else that you should know about Toontown is that Toontown Online is the game as created and hosted by Disney, and when app games started to become more popular, they decided to invest their resources into app games rather than to continue Toontown Online. And so then the game didn't exist anymore, nobody could play anymore, and there was a group of developers that decided, well, we still want to play, people still want to play, so why not just rebuild the game completely from scratch? And that is what Toontown Rewritten is, and what I mean when I say I started playing Toontown again recently. It's basically a preservation project to try to mirror it as closely as possible while still being fun and functional in today's day and age. So if you went to go play Toontown Rewritten, you would notice it's 1000% PS2 graphics, because that's what it looked like. And all of the animations and sounds are pretty much the same. I know that they've made tweaks here and there to some of the aesthetics. I personally enjoy that I really can't tell that many changes. There are some bigger changes to the game that I think add to it. In fact, 2 of the trolley games that we'll be talking about were not part of the original Toontown Online. They are original to Toontown Rewritten, which is really cool. So I guess the only way to start is to start, so I'll be reading out these games alphabetically as they're listed in the wiki. Alright, I really like when people assign words and phrases to their tier list, so mine are as follows. S tier is going to be Toontastic. A tier is Toon Enough. B tier is... C tier is going to be the Sad Trombone. D tier is going to be... F tier is going to be... The first minigame on our list is the cannon game. Now this one I think is very toony. You launch yourself out of a cannon toward a water tower in a parabolic motion. So very similar to the ever classic, ever popular Balloons by Ninja Kiwi. When it comes to the bean payout, there's a jelly bean jar in the corner of the screen. It starts at a certain number and it counts down. and however long it takes for you to land in the water tower, that's how many beans that you get. This game, it can be, it's not a skill set that I possess at all. I feel like it often takes me embarrassingly long to like launch into the water tower, and obviously the more that you play Toontown and that specific game, you get a feel for the physics of it. It is one of the few games where whatever amount of beans you get at the end, everybody gets, so whoever lands in the water tower, it doesn't matter. It's just the sooner you land in the water tower, you all get that same amount of beans together. So that can be pretty fun if you're not good at that game. That's some incentive to play with some other tunes. Anyway, I don't think it's all that fun, but it's not the worst, so I'm gonna put it in B tier. The catching game is the next one on the list, and I really think this one is just fun. It's just your basic catching game. You run around this little area that's in the middle of the woods somewhere, and you're just trying to catch different fruits that are falling from the sky, and you try to avoid anvils falling on you, and try to avoid cogs that are walking past, because both of those things will knock you over for a second or so, which prevents you from gathering the fruit. But a pretty simple game, but I think it's pretty fun. I think the amount of difficulty makes it fun. It really makes you feel like you want to be completionist about it, and you can also get a perfect in this game. I don't think you can get a perfect in all of the games, but you can get a perfect in this game, which makes it super fun, especially when you're playing with other tunes. Based on the playground that you're in, the fruit changes. So you could have apples, oranges, pineapples, watermelon. And when I say playground, by the way, for those of you that have never played Toontown, trolleys exist in the playground, which is your safe spaces within the world. So as you go through the campaign, you go from playground to playground, increasing the difficulty, and they all have their own aesthetic. But that's what I mean when I say based on the playground that you're in. And the other thing about each playground is that based on which one is where in the campaign part of the story, that progression determines the difficulty of the minigames that you're playing. So Toontown Central, for example, is the very first playground. Those are the easier minigames. And then Donald's Dreamland, I believe, is the most difficult. I think this one's classic, like, undeniably just so toony. Like, you have anvils just dropping on you. I think it's great. And I've gotten perfect several times, including in Donald's Dreamland. I'm just putting it in S tier. I think it's really fun, and I like it. It puts a smile on my face. It was definitely also, like, one of my favorites when I was originally playing the game. Next on our list is Cog Thief. Pretty fun as well. In this game, you're trying to protect barrels full of... In the wiki, it says barrels full of gags, but in the actual game, it's barrels full of cash, which are the Cogs currency, not our currency. Don't think too much about the lore. These barrels exist, and the Cogs are coming out from all directions to try to pick them up and carry them away, and you have to throw pies at them to make them explode. If the Cogs run into you, you fly up in the air for a second, which means that you lose valuable time protecting the barrels. It is a game where you do have to, like, lock in. But if you do lock in, like, even in single player, you can save at least one and sometimes two barrels. I have at least. I've saved up to 2 barrels. I don't think any more than that just by myself. And then it makes it even more fun when you play with other tunes, because then you got multiple eyes looking all around the screen. And it's a lot easier to get the all 4 barrels saved. And I feel like it's a really fun collaborative game, because even if you're pretty, like, bad at it, if you just spin around and just spam the delete button, you're gonna hit a few cogs and it's gonna help out. So, and even if you barely do that and you mostly get hit by other cogs, the cogs explode when they walk into you. So either way, I think it's a pretty fun game to play for all levels, if that makes sense. The bean payout in this game works the opposite of the cannon game. So in the corner, you have a bean amount. It starts at a low number, and it increases the longer that you're able to keep all the barrels saved. So if you save at least 1 barrel, you get the max bean payout. If you don't save any barrels, then the bean payout stops at whatever time you lost the last barrel. I think it's a pretty fair bean payout in that regard. I think it's a pretty fun game, whether you're playing solo or with friends, and I put it in A tier. I think it's tune enough. Doodle Roundup. Now, this trolley game is one of the ones that I mentioned before that was not part of Toontown Online. So this one is specific to Toontown Rewritten and was added in 2021 along with Spotlight Search. In this game, you and another toon, or however many toons you're playing with, it's a 2-toon minimum, are on opposite sides of a map in front of a tunnel, and a bunch of doodles are coming out the pet shop, and you hit the delete button to like whistle and call them over to your tunnel. Very similar to Call of the Goomba in Mario Party DS, which I played, so that's my frame of reference, where you like wind up the music box and the Goombas come to you. For some reason, I'm really good at that kind of game. I don't know. It's pretty simple gameplay. I don't think there's that much of a trick to it. This game everybody's been playing it because right now during Cartoonival, there is a toon task that you can do to get a doodle backpack. Oh, doodles are your in-game pet. I just realized that if you've never played Toontown, you're like, what the fuck is a doodle? A doodle is your in-game pet, and it's a weird, like, uncanny valley, like, fucked up jelly bean with a mouth, basically. I don't think they're cute. So in Cartoonival, adorable doodle backpack. The toon task that you do to get the backpack involves playing Doodle Roundup. So what a lot of people have been doing, which has been helping me out a lot for this video, is people have been standing out in front of the trolley waiting for somebody to come along so that they can hop on the trolley with them, play the game, and then immediately dip. It's another A-tier game. I think it's very fun, and I think it's even more fun that it's a newer Toontown game, and I appreciate the effort that the team put into making it feel like it could be part of the original game, and I just think it's really fun. A-tier. Ice Slide is the next one alphabetically. In this game, your toon is in a tire on an ice rink, and there's another toon, and there's a target in the middle. You have to aim your arrow at it without under or overshooting. Not necessarily my favorite game, never has been. Bean Payout isn't really worth it for like the amount of time that you're just like sitting around. It's really easy to overshoot as well, and if you bounce against anything, it changes your trajectory. If you bounce against another toon, you know, it's part of the gameplay, I guess, but I would say that those parts of it are challenging enough without there also being stacks of dynamite on the rink. There's a little bit of skill involved, and once you kind of get how to get in the middle, like, it's pretty boring, so I guess it's more fun to just play bumper cars and just throw each other around. It really does kind of bore me, and so for that reason, this is the first C-tier game in this list. Jungle Vines. Okay. This is my second least favorite minigame in the entire game. It's a side-scroller where you just hop from vine to vine, and the entire bottom of the screen is a pit, and it's so annoying. The vines swing at such an awkward pace, and based on playground difficulty, the number of spiders on vines and bats that fly across the screen increase. So that's really annoying, because even though there's a handy little guide to tell you which vines the spiders are on and where the bat is flying across the screen, it's still just timed out so randomly that you could just be hanging there on a vine, just waiting to jump in a way that you don't catch the spider, and then there won't be a time to do that before the bat then just, aggravating. And it's also not a favorite of most other toons that I've ever played with. Both the spiders and the bats knock you back a vine, so if you get a bat and then a spider and then another bat, you're just like, what am I doing here? And there's like bananas that you can catch if you can swing directly into them, and it takes so much time that even in Toontown Central, I feel like it's very rare for me to actually get to the other side of the game. And in fact, one of the people that I was playing with finished the map for the first time in playing the game, and it was Toontown Central. Very frequently in this game, I do get the situation where it's bat, spider, bat, back to back, and I believe it was probably the first trolley game I ever played in Toontown, back in Toontown Online, and I've hated it ever since. The bean payout is frankly insulting for the effort, and it's not toony enough for me, not remotely whimsical, and the music sucks. So F tier. Match Mini. In this game, you watch the moves that this generic female cartoon mouse makes, and you press the arrow keys that correspond, starting out with 2 and then moving up for a couple of rounds. And you have to get them exact. If you miss one, you're out for that round, and you've got to do it quicker than the other toons that you're playing with. So, you know, pretty fun if you're competitive and if you're like fast at like remembering and touching the keys. I just find it like boring, and I don't like it. not the worst game, I wouldn't rage quit, but I've definitely like messed up on purpose so that I could just sit there and wait for it to be done.
That's what she said. Don't you dare.
The aesthetic of the room that you're in, it just really puts you in like toddler daycare. I don't like the vibe of it. I know I was like, oh, I played this game when I was a kid, it's nostalgic from my childhood, but not that young. Like, I was old enough to, like, hold a mouse. It is a fairly, I guess no, I wouldn't even call it that fun of a multiplayer game, but it's playable. Another C tier from me. Next on our list is the maze game. In this game, you run around a maze collecting little tokens that have a generic mouse on them. Cogs also run around the maze, and if you run into them, they bounce you to a different part of the maze. So basically, it's just Pac-Man, but reskinned, and it's pretty fun. There's something just really satisfying about collecting all the tokens and clearing them from the map. And depending on how much, it's a 1 to 4 player game, and depending on how many people are with you, it's a different map, so it's a bigger map for the more tunes. If you have 3 or 4 tunes, it puts you in a Donald's Dreamland maze, which is like dark mode, and it's my favorite by far. It low-key kind of feels like the daycare in FNAF, which to me always felt like the daycare of the casino. This has always been my favorite Trolley game, and I don't really know why, except for that whole thing about it just being satisfying to clear them off the map. And I've gotten perfect in it a few times, and it's even more satisfying when you're with other tunes and you get perfect, like you clear the whole map. It's very rare that I have cleared the map, but every single time I play the game, I'm like, oh, I was that close, and it's just a really motivating feeling for me for some reason. Like, if I could just play one minigame over and over and over again, I would play that game. And I don't even like Pac-Man. Anyway, I can't bring myself to put this any lower than S tier. Photo Fun. I didn't realize people had strong opinions about this game. I do apologize to anybody who I've played this game with who has wanted to just get it over with as quickly as possible, because it's a little bit of a perfectionist thing. So in this game, you have to take pictures of tunes doing specific things. At the bottom of your screen, you have a list of pictures of various NPC tunes walking around whichever playground that you're in. So it's a playground-specific game. You get plopped in the center of whatever playground that you're playing the minigames in, and you have to follow around these NPC tunes and wait for them to hit emotes that they're doing in your list. So it could be running, jumping, clapping, walking around sad. It's definitely a perfectionist thing for me, because the shots that you take get a 1 to 5 rating, and it's based on, you know, how clear the shot is based on whatever the game's algorithm is for that. And when you're playing with other tunes, you'll outrank each other based on who took the better picture. So you could maybe have a 4-star picture, and then somebody else could come along and take the same picture, the same emote, and they'll get 5. Interestingly, I don't remember playing this game in Toontown Online, despite the fact that it was removed in 2011, and I definitely was not still playing the game by that time. I now know for sure that I'm not alone in thinking that this game can feel like kind of a chore. I'm not always in the mood to do it, and it can be fun to get the 5-star shots, but at the end of the day, it's a game of chance, because you could be following a tune around for the entire timer, and they might never do the emote that you need them to do. Or they'll walk right behind a pillar, most likely doing the emote that you need. The one thing that I've heard people say is positive about this game is that you could just spam all the film and run out of film and run the game out quickly, but also if you do that and the other people don't do that, then you're still sitting there for the whole timer, which is around 2 minutes. Anyway, while I don't have a personal vendetta against this game, I just think it stinks, and I'm putting it in D tier. Race game. I hate this game. Hate it. Hate it. First of all, it's a misnomer, because you're not really racing. Okay, so it's you and other tunes on this little slip of track that has spaces on it like a game board, and you each roll a die, but when I say roll a die, you're not really doing that. You're picking a die between 1 and 4, and if you and any other tune pick the same number, none of the tunes that pick the same number can move forward. I just don't like it. I think it is lame, and you can land on like a special space or whatever that will either send you back a few or make you win, or it'll just tell you that you're a cool tune. It's lame and it sucks. I'd still pick it over others, I guess. No, I would not pick it over other games. Anyway, it's another D tier. Ring game. In this game, your toon is swimming through the water, and you have to go through these cartoonish life preservers, and it's pretty fun and laid back. If you're in Toontown Central, the very last one is moving in like a circle, but then based on the difficulty of the playground that you're in, they throw in more rings that move around, some of them in figure eights, some of them pretty fast. I don't know, I find it pretty whimsical. Maybe it's the underwater aspect of it. It's a very chill game. It's another game I've gotten perfect on multiple times, and if you get perfect with other toons, it's even more satisfying because you're working completely independent of each other. It just feels really neat, and I don't know, I really like this game and I always have. And I think it's good enough to go in B tier, in my opinion. Spotlight Search. Okay, so I actually did not know that this game was a thing until I started making this video, because when I was going through the wiki list to make sure that I didn't forget a single game, I was like, what are you talking about? I don't recognize that screenshot. Spotlight Search was released in 2021, the same year as Doodle Roundup, which does make sense why I never played it, because first of all, it came out a lot later in the game, and second of all, this is a game that requires 3 toons minimum in order to play. It's very rare that I'll get on the trolley with 2 or more toons other than myself. So this one was a little bit of a challenge for me because I kind of had to be like, hey, can I get 2 other people on the trolley with me, please? It's not like people are, you know, that mean in the game. Some people can be like jerks, but like all you really need to do is just sound outside the trolley and just be like, hey, anybody else want to ride the trolley? And just wait for a few minutes. But I did manage to get a few other toons to actually play with me. And the very first game that we dropped into was Spotlight Search. And then we also got dropped into it 2 games later. Spotlight Search takes place in a maze, just like the maze game. And as you could probably get from the title, one toon has a flashlight, and they run around the maze trying to find the other toons and shine the flashlight on them. I remember another Mario Party game that's like this, but I can't really remember what it's called. I think you had to run around and find Boo with a flashlight. Anyway, the first time we played it, I was one of the toons that was running away, and none of us got caught. So that was pretty fun for me, because I won. And then the second time we played it, I was it. So I was the toon that ran around with the flashlight, and I actually did get somebody. And I'm sorry that I got you so quickly. I know that was probably boring for you to have to sit there for the rest of the game, but I had a really good time. And thank you guys so much for hopping on the trolley with me, because it was really fun, and I got my footage very quickly. After I filmed that footage in the game, I did try to play it again, and I just couldn't. In fact, I got a couple of toons to end up spending nearly an hour with me on the trolley, and oh my goodness, thank you guys so much. I had so much fun with you guys too, and I really cannot thank you enough. We never ended up playing Spotlight Search. We played every game except for Spotlight Search, and the only reason why we quit, it wasn't even because any of us wanted to quit, it's because one of their games crashed. That was a bit of like, well, but it was not time wasted because it was time spent having fun. I had a really fun time with you guys, and I think we killed it. We did get a lot of games that we got like perfect or near perfect, and there was one time where we all ended up in the water tower at the same time during the cannon game, and I had a lot of fun with you guys. It really sucks we didn't get to play Spotlight Search, and I've only played it twice before this video, but I think I know enough about it to give it an A tier, because I think it's really fun, and I like the map, and just like Doodle Roundup, I think that it fits right in with the game, and I really appreciate that from the developers. Thank you guys. We're into the T's, which is a lot of games because Toon. So Toon Escape is the next on the list, and this game is another side-scroller. In this one, you are in a cog factory, and the bottom of the map isn't an entire pit, so you run across the actual platform rather than swinging from vine to vine. And instead of little bananas that you can pick up, there are these little cog medallions that represent the 4 different classes of cog, and the points that you can get from those medallions are correlated to the value of their class. So, Cell bots give you 1 point, Cash bots give you 2 points, Law bots give you 3 points, and Boss bots give you 4 points. And you can also pick up these medallions from the cogs roaming around on the map. You squirt them with a little squirt gun, and they explode, leaving behind a medallion, but if you run into them, you do lose one of the points that you gather from those medallions. You do get a bunch of points in the game just for completing the map. So if you're playing with another toon and say one of you just gets a bunch of medallions and doesn't finish the map, and then somebody else finishes the map but doesn't get a lot of medallions, you're probably going to get the same jelly bean payout. I think that's kind of cool. I think that's an interesting way to balance the game. It makes it a challenge to try to collect as many medallions as you can while still completing the game, because if you get to the end of the map, you get so many other points. It's an alright game. I think I just don't really like side-scrollers that much, but I definitely don't hate it outright like I do with Jungle Vines, probably because you're not over a pit the entire time. Overall, I put this game in B tier. Again, I think it's not the worst game, not the best, but not the worst. Toon Memory Game. This one is the worst game in the whole game. The worst minigame. I have straight up walked away from the computer before. It's a memory game. You run around a map, and you flip cards over, and they have gags on them, and you match them with other cards on the map. And each time you flip any card, there's a positive counter for the matches that you make, and there is a negative counter for number of times that you flip a card. So if your memory sucks bad, then that point offset really messes with you. I usually can't even finish the game. It's really annoying. I have to sit there and literally say the thing on the card out loud to myself so that I still have the muscle memory of my tongue, because otherwise I will absolutely forget like 5 cards back what that one was. I have to like keep repeating it to myself like a mantra as I go through the cards and clear them. Nobody I've ever played with has ever expressed joy with this game. I've had other people's toons just like sit there, which makes it impossible when you're playing multiplayer. And if you are playing with 3 or more toons, it can be more easy because you could just spam the delete button and run around, and eventually you'll all match everything. But it's still, I just don't like it. And if you have a Mac computer, I've played this game many times with toons that were on Apple computers, and they were like, oh, I can't play this game because there's no way to flip the card over. I hit delete and it does nothing. And it took me until reading the game wiki to find that if you are on an Apple computer, you have to hit function as well as delete. Now, I don't know how true that is because I don't have any Apple devices aside from literally an iPod Shuffle, but let me know if you're watching this video and that represents you. Let me know if that actually works. Worst, most stressful, least rewarding minigame I have ever played, ever. Instantly makes my entire day just a little bit worse, and when I'm on Trolley Tracks, I will vote against it every time, even if that's meant to be my secret goal for Trolley Tracks. F-tier game if that wasn't evident. That said, due to the nostalgia factor of this game and Toontown Rewritten in general, I would never want them to change or remove it. And the same can be said for Jungle Vines. I hate them both so much. Our next one is Toon Slingshot. In this game, you launch your toon from a slingshot and then steer their descent into one of the many bullseyes on the map. The smaller the bullseye, obviously, the higher the points, as bullseyes tend to work. I guess this game's pretty toony, but I don't know. It's just pretty slow-paced for what it is. Especially if you launch yourself too high into the air, it takes forever to float back down. So there's a lot of hang time in it, and you get 3 launches. So that's 3 different times that there's just a lot of hang time. And if somebody has a slow computer or they're taking forever to launch, when you're playing multiplayer, you'll either be doing the victory dance for several seconds or hanging your sad little toon head for several seconds. It's easy enough to steer, but what makes this game a challenge that's kind of not so fun is that anytime you land, you are guaranteed to bounce and or slide mostly off target, and even if you're just a little off target, you can get dead in the center of a target and just bounce like 1 or 2 off, and it's over, it's done. I would put this game in B tier because it's not that great. Why would I put it in C tier, actually? You know what? I think I still ranked this way too high. I was originally gonna put it in B tier for some gosh darn reason. I was originally gonna put it in B tier, and I have no idea the justification for that because I should have started at C tier, because this game, it's not all that fun, and it's really not my favorite, but what actually slides it down even more so into D tier for me is that when you don't hit the target, if you're off target, you get a sad trombone noise, but you don't get the 4-beat sad trombone noise like you get in Match Mini. You get the sad trombone noise that you hear when your toon goes sad during battle. And to contextualize that, going sad is what happens when you lose all your hit points, and you get sent back to the playground, and they take all of your gags, aka dying in battle. So because of that negative association, when I play the game, if I bounce off the target, I start feeling like Dennis Reynolds in that episode of Always Sunny where they're on Family Feud.
You're gonna hear this sound, and then...
Thought we were done with the buzzer.
And it doesn't represent me, you know what I mean? It doesn't represent me. I've actually taken to muting the game when I miss the target so that I don't have to hear it, and that final fact slides it down from a C tier into the D tier. Toon tag. Right off the bat, this one gets an A tier for nostalgia. It's literally just tag. You're just running around this little garden and you tag each other, and whoever is it, their head is big so that you know who's it, and then whoever's not it, they get to pick up little ice cream cones around the playground. And I just think it's so simple, and it doesn't take that much skill, but there's still some skill to it. You know, you can still strategize a little bit to get ahead. There's something about it to me that's just so quintessentially Toontown, like you're just running around the playground with your friends playing tag. A tier, like I said. Treasure dive. In this game, you dive to the bottom of the sea and grab a treasure chest, and then you bring it back up to the boat and go down and get another one. And if you bump into a fish, obviously, while you have the treasure chest drops all the way to the bottom. This game, it's pretty fun. I like it. If you play with other toons, it can get a little hairy because you can block each other's path. There's also a nostalgia factor with this game because I used to play the Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea CD-ROM, and there's a minigame in that game as well that is basically just this premise. Like, you just dive into the water and you collect gems and pearls while avoiding the sharks and Ursula's eels. Or, no, it's not Ursula and the eels in Little Mermaid 2, it's Morgana and whatever Morgana had. Anyway, that might be bumping it a bit higher up the ladder for me than it should be, but I just really like it. I like underwater stuff, though. I feel like it's a really well done Toontown game, and it's also very toony. This one goes in A tier. And at the mercy of the alphabet, we are now, finally, at the end of the list with Tug of War. This game is Tug of War. You are put on one of two docks opposing either a cog or other toons, and it's just random. So if you join the game with other toons, you might be on the same team with the other toon, or you might be against the other toon. And you tap on the left and right arrows with a certain rhythm to meet this bar that is an ever-moving goalpost. And honestly, if you tap one above or below for a second, it really can make or break the game. I kind of feel like the difficulty is really random. No matter what the size of the cog, it really does seem random to me how easy it is for me to pull them over or not. I feel like it's a needlessly challenging game. I just don't get it. It just feels a little bit too random to me. And with that, I will place our final game into the C tier. And, yeah. As I filmed the Trolley games for this video, I had a lot of fun. I'm usually a solo grind type of player when it comes to most video games, which makes it kind of funny to me that I'm so drawn to this game, considering it's very collaboration-based. It was really cool throughout this process to see that other toons were so willing to just hop on the trolley and play with me, regardless of whatever toon tasks they had going on. And especially, like I said, to those two toons that played with me for damn near an hour, I had so much fun, and I'm so grateful that you were willing to stick with it with me. Big thank you to all of the toons involved. Now that I'm done with my footage, aside from a few more minutes of B-roll, I get to watch the other YouTubers' reviews of the Trolley games, so I'm very excited about that one, especially the tier list that I did not realize existed until after I had finished my own script. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not sure if I'll make more Toontown videos, but I want to. I'm not really sure what I would do in them, but I want to. The goal with this channel is to just continue doing some cozy games while in the background I'm still working on a longer form video essay. I am trudging through the technical parts. It has been a labor of love since March. Would have been really, really cool to have that out by October, but I do want to get that video out and I want to do it before somebody else like scans my mind and writes a script for it and does it before I do. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. Thanks for watching if you did.